Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Hello guys, so this is your passage for today, and in case you want to solve this as a test, then all you've got to do is go to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for the 100 days to CAT test series. Of course, this is a free test series where we'd be uploading 100 tests of quant, verbal and LRDI so that you can stay consistent with your CAT 2025 prep and ace CAT 2025 this year itself. Now, let's get into the passage. All I need you to do is pause the passage when I ask you to, answer the questions, comment your answers in the comment box below, and then we'll look at the passage explanation and the question explanations. So, this is your first paragraph. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, then we'll go into the second paragraph. So, this is your second and last paragraph. Pause the video here, jot down all the main points, then we'll go into the questions. This question number 1, pause the video here, answer the question, then we'll move into the question number 2. This question number 2, pause the video here, answer the questions, let's move into the question number 3. This question number 3, pause the video here, answer the question, let's move into the question number 4. This question number 4, pause the video here, answer the question. Now that you're done answering all the 4 questions, put those answers down in the comment box. Let's see how many questions you've gotten correct. Let's move into the passage and question explanations. So, what does the passage say? Americans don't trust the news. Many people hate doom scrolling for news on social media and they're worried about misinformation, but they also have little faith in traditional media. That means what? Americans are not able to trust the news that they are getting. Okay, people don't like getting their news from social media and they don't have enough trust in the traditional media outlets. That means the TV news and all of that. The journalists trying to reach them, who overwhelmingly come from elite universities, feel like they're talking to a wall after they've spent months interviewing people for a story only to get no readers. That means what? All these journalists, they come from a similar structured background. They come from elite universities, and they don't actually understand what the average people of America really want to hear about. What do they really care about? What do they want to read about? So they'll go on for interviews, they'll take interviews, they'll get nice writings out, but at the end of the day, they don't have any readers for what they have written. I don't want to live in a world where all news comes from a billionaire-funded conglomerates, and also I don't want to get my news from Twitter bots and provocative podcasters. I get the sense that most people agree if we are going to build a culture truly free press, we need a baseline of trust on all sides. So basically what's he saying? What is the idea that I can get from here? From here I can get the idea that journalists aren't able to cater to average Americans. Now from here, the second part of the passage, what idea do I get? I get that, okay, so there are certain sources, okay, that I don't want news from. Yes, and trust needs to be built from journalist side and audience. That is the idea that I get so far from this passage. Yes, now the third one. Newsrooms and journalists must realign their priorities and invest in news that matters to the average person and connect more meaningfully with the people they're reporting on. Copy editors like me, so now we understand that the author is a copy editor. Copy editors like me need to make sure our publications, writings, does justice to every reader. So basically what? News people or journalists must connect to their audience, okay, and write about topics important to them. Right, so that is what we are getting to understand from this entire page of passage. Now over here they say readers and viewers meanwhile can help build the culture by reading widely, sharing feedback with the people who make their news, accepting that paying for news is better than the alternative, and choosing local, which they already tend to do where it exists. And when political institutions and powerful people start trying to silence journalists, we all got to recognize it as our problem too. So now there are two main points over here in this particular paragraph. One is that readers and journalists need to trust each other. Okay, so these readers need to give feedback, they need to read more, okay, read diversely, yes, and they also should be pay for the news. Now the second main idea is that if journalists are being hurt or silenced, all of us should speak out. Okay, that's what we get from here. That doesn't mean agreeing with everything you read. Every outlet is inevitably at least a little loyal to some funder or a friend, and every journalist has a worldview that shapes their pitches, and because so many journalists are trained on the same materials to the same standards, they tend to recycle the same charged language and euphemisms while covering the same old beats. Now here, there's two things that I need you to understand. Okay, when I talk about euphemisms, okay, it's a different way of saying things. Euphemism means different way of saying things. Okay, and here in context of journalism, when we are talking about beats are topics. Okay, so beats are topics like crime, art, literature, Bollywood. These are your beats. Okay, now what idea am I getting out of this? I'm getting that there's always a little bias. Okay, there is a little bias in every news. Okay, so trust should not be for everything, should not be everywhere. Trust should not be placed everywhere, right? Journalists need readers to trust them enough to engage with them. Almost every journalist I've interacted with in my admittedly limited world genuinely cares about serving the public. So here the author is telling, personally he has, been with a lot of journalists, and most of these journalists actually care about serving the public. They're not behind money and everything. Okay, they make mistakes and don't cover everything they probably should, but the majority are trying and they need you. So what's he saying? Yes, journalists also make mistakes. They're not able to cover everything that they possibly should. That means they're not able to report on all possible issues, but they're trying their best. Okay. Ultimately, on either side of the page on screen is a human being. A free press needs them both. That means what? Journalists, okay, serve public, at least most of them I can say, yes, and there should be some kind of a relation between, symbiotic relationship between readers and journalists. Yes, this is the entire passage. Now that we've understood the passage, let's get into the questions. The first question, primary purpose of the author in this passage is to lament the declining trust in news and media and the rise of misinformation from alternative sources. No, he's not trying to, tell us about the declining trust. Neither is he telling about the rise of misinformation. This is very partial scope of choice. Okay, so we can eliminate this from here. Propose a mutual responsibility model for journalists and readers to restore trust and foster a truly free press. Yes. Throughout the passage, he's keeping on emphasizing that yes, both the customer or both the reader and the journalist must trust each other, and that is the, that is when we are going to get a truly free press, correct? So this makes a lot of sense. Now look at C. Criticize elite university for failing to train journalists, connect with the average readers and avoid recycled language. Now again, this is not what he's talking about. This is exactly rephrased to a point wherein it does not even mean what's in the passage anymore. So I'm going to remove this answer. Argue that paying for news and choosing local outlets are the most effective ways for readers to combat media distrust. Again, this has been mentioned as effective ways, but they're not saying that these are the most effective ways. Even if they were to be the most effective ways, which they are not, that's not the primary purpose of why the author has written the passage. So I can remove D from here. The correct answer should be B. Let's move to the next question. What does the passage suggest is a significant underlying cause of the communication breakdown between traditional journalists and their audience? So, what do we have to see? Why are the traditional journalists and their audience not able to communicate well with each other? Now see, in the passage, he's clearly said that these journalists belong to elite universities, and also they have a very different way of speaking altogether, which the normal crowd is not able to understand, right? So we have to look for that option over here. Journalists intentionally disregard, see, intentionally disregard, this is a very extreme, strong statement to put out, okay? So journalists intentionally disregard the concerns and interests of the average person. So they're not doing it intentionally. They're trying to serve the public as much as possible, but it's not happening completely, correct? So I can remove A. The shared educational background and professional training of many journalists may lead to homogenized approach to news coverage. So yes, all of these people went to the elite university, so they're able to cover news only in certain way. They're using the same way of words and all. So this could be one reason why there's a communication difference, okay, between the journalist and the average, person. The pervasive influence of social media has rendered traditional journalistic practices entirely obsolete. Now again, okay, this is very extreme, a stand which the author has nowhere taken in the passage. So I can remove this. Readers are unwilling to provide constructive feedback, leaving journalists with guidance on audience preferences. Now, see what's happening over here. Readers are unwilling to provide constructive feedback. See, the author has said that readers must provide guidance and constructive feedback so that the journalists learn. That does not mean that readers are not providing, so they are left without any guidance. Okay, so I can remove this as well. The best possible answer is B. Now let's go to the third one. Which of the following best describes the author's overall attitude towards the state of modern journalism? Now what is his attitude towards the state of modern journalism? Now see, cynical and resigned. Now nowhere is he accepting defeat or anything. The author is still thinking that okay, trust should come back and all. No, yes, he's a little hopeful about things, right? So obviously A should not be my answer. Okay. Optimistic and idealistic, believing that minor adjustments will easily resolve the current trust deficit. See, nowhere is he telling that it will be very, very easily resolved. He's not that positive either. So I can remove this also as my answer. Critically concerned. Yes, he's very concerned about how the trust factor in American journalism is playing out. Yet he's hopeful. True. Okay, offering balanced prescriptions for both journalists and readers. Yes, he's talking about both the sides. He's telling journalists to, come down a peg and write about what the people actually want to listen to and what the people actually care about. He's also telling readers to give feedback and everything. So definitely C is in the race for the correct answer. Dispassionate and analytical, merely presenting observations without expressing a personal stake. No, see, he's clearly expressed a personal stake, right? He's told about, I personally have seen so many journalists who have worked to serve the country, serve the public and all that, right? So there's definitely, it's not dispassionate. There is a personal stake. So I can remove this as well. The best possible answer now becomes C. Now, as far as the last question is concerned, the author implies that a crucial barrier to public's full engagement with and trust in news is that. Author is asking, or the author is telling about which barrier, which stoppage, which restriction that is stopping the complete engagement of the public to trust the news. So, journalists are primarily motivated by financial incentives than by public service. No, the author has clearly said that a lot of journalists he knows are doing it for public service. So I can remove this. This will be an opposite answer. The content produced by major news outlets is inherently biased due to external influences. True, it is biased. Okay, that is kind of, true about the passage. But is that the major reason why people are not reading things? That we'll have to check. Okay, so far B is a good answer. But let's see if we get a better answer. Readers are unwilling to distinguish between credible news sources and deliberate misinformation. Now, this is absolutely not true. It's not that they're not able to, delineate between the credible news sources and misinformation. It's that they don't know which news to trust in itself. News organizations often fail to present information in a manner that resonates with everybody, everyday experiences of their audience. So this is what is much better than B. Why? Because here we are actually seeing that things that the people, the average people want to talk about, the news organizations are not able to present. So this becomes a much better answer than B. So my correct answer should be D. Okay. Now that you've finished answering all the questions, tell us in the comments how many questions you've gotten correct. Share this with all your friends who are preparing for CAT 2025 and drop that like because that motivates us to keep making videos like this for you every single day. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.